Hi listeners, this is Radio Looe, broadcasting on the internet on radiolooe.co.uk. I'm John Carter and I'm going to have a few words today with Lamorna Spry. She is chair of the Cornwall Heritage Trust, which I'm sure she's got lots of interesting things to say about that. So, Lamorna, welcome to Radio Looe.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I think I'd better start by just saying, how are you getting on in your lockdown? What are you getting up to? Are you keeping yourself busy?
Luckily, I've got a lovely sea view and I've also got a beautiful garden, so I'm very, very fortunate. And I'm keeping myself very, very busy. The weeks have flown past, I have to say.
Well, that's good because I guess a lot of people are pretty desperate to get out and get back to normality, really. But I know you're quite busy with the trust stuff, aren't you? And let's hear a little bit more about yourself. And I suppose we better start off with your family connections, and you're going back a long way. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Well, my family go back generations in Cornwall. In fact, I don't know of any close relative that isn't Cornish. And what can I say, really? Oh, yeah, I gave a talk on Radio Looe last week about the Cornish migration. And my grandfather, he went out to Canada and surveyed for the first roads on Vancouver Island, and I've got some beautiful photographs of him trading with the Indians and fishing in the rivers and so on. And then he went down to the gold mines in Grass Valley in California, and lots of Cornish were going across, and he didn't go on the Titanic, thank goodness. His cousin was actually on the Titanic, and she was Emily Richards, and she had a son who was 18 months old, and a 3-year-old son as well. And she went on the Titanic with her mother and sister and brother. And they all survived apart from her brother. And they were on lifeboat number 13, which should be unlucky for some, but it was lucky for them. And they all survived. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, they were very lucky, weren't they? Because not many people survived. So she lived to tell the tale. Yeah.
Yeah, she's picked up on the Carpathia. In fact, I've got a newspaper cutting here now in front of me to remind me
really
about it. But
right. So where did she end? Did she? I suppose they landed in America, did they? Or
yeah, because her husband had already gone out there to work in Ohio, and then they've stayed in America for a few years. But then they came back and spent the rest of their lives in Penzance.
All right, back to Cornwall then.
Yeah, you can't keep them away, can you?
Okay. So where were you born?
Well, my mother was from Newlyn, and my father was from Port Isaac. And I spent my formative years in Newlyn. My first school was in Newlyn.
Right.
But I'd love to move back to Port Isaac, but unfortunately house prices in Port Isaac now are sky high. So
it must be nice to feel so Cornish in a way, in that you've got all this family history that you've assembled, I guess. And because I think you've been quite interested in getting information about your family connections, haven't you?
Oh, it's lovely doing the research, and I count myself really lucky to have found Looe, actually, because I must admit I didn't know Looe very well, and because when you've got family living down in Cornwall, you tend to go down there. So I was always going down to Newlyn, back to Port Isaac, but I very rarely came to Looe, and it is an absolute jewel, isn't it?
It's a lovely place, and it's a place that I found a long time ago and always wanted to come back, because I'm afraid I don't have the Cornish connections. I have to stay quiet about my background a little bit, I think, when I talk to genuine Cornwall people. So I'm not going to elaborate on that score.
Well, my father always said, if you love Cornwall, then you can call yourself Cornish. And that was a lovely thing to say, because he said that, when people move down here, they move down generally because they really love Cornwall, and that's the main thing.
Of course, and if they participate in the community a bit, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? And just adds interest for the locals as well, really, I guess. So that's good. And, well, there we are. Your Cornish heritage has been exposed. There we go.
Yeah, that's why I joined Cornwall Heritage Trust as well, because my father was a founder member. It's been going for about 35 years now. And we have sites like Castle and Dinus, Sanctuary Beacon, Tresside Viaduct, but we also manage some sites not too far from here, like Trethivi Coit and the Hurlers.
Right.
And all our sites are free, so visit our website and check out all the walks and things like that.
Yeah, you're on the website, aren't you, Cornwall Heritage Trust?
Yeah.
And tell me what you're up to just at the moment.
Well, one of the things we do is we give grants to other people to do projects. And there's an exciting project about to start, I think, in Looe, because we've just given just over £6,000 to the Looe Development Trust for their More to See project. So that it's part of a wider initiative to open up a new network of cycling and walking trails between Carridon, I think it is, and Looe. So there'll be training volunteers to undertake historical research and produce a touring exhibition, and also working with local creative and performing art groups to produce events for a Looe Valley Festival celebrating, Looe Valley's history.
So you set this up, and do you help to promote it as well? Or is it...
Well, no, Looe Development Trust will manage it all, and we just give a grant. But we do like to keep in touch with people when we've given them a grant, so that we understand how the project's going and things like that.
Right.
I think it's a really good initiative to open up this network of cycling and walking trails, I think, and you'll be able to sort of see a lot of the industrial archaeology, because of the lovely lime kilns and all sorts along those trails.
Right.
It should be quite exciting. And also we're hoping to take over Looe Stone Circle. So we're doing a few projects around this area as well as the middle of Cornwall and the west of Cornwall.
Well, tell me about a little bit about Looe Stone Circle. What's all that about?
It's the smallest stone circle in Cornwall, I think. But it's lovely because it's set in a nice field, so we'll be able to open the field as well. So my idea is to set up as like a sort of a wild flower meadow. Hopefully it's like a sensory meadow, and I'm hoping to get wheelchair access, that kind of thing, so that to open it up to more people. What's
the background of the stones? How old are they? Do you know a little bit more about those? Or?
Probably Neolithic, I would imagine. So sort of
pretty old.
Yeah,
pretty old.
I think
pretty old.
Very old, very old. I think Treacy Coit is around the same age as Stonehenge. So we're talking of really ancient civilization.
So Cornwall Heritage Trust, where is it based?
Based in Redruth, and we've become the preferred tenderer for Redruth Library, which is a Passmore Edwards building, beautiful building, and Cornwall Council wanted to sell it off because they're moving the library in Redruth. So if that proceeds, and because we're just having the surveys done now, and of course, if the surveys come back really bad, we won't be able to go through with it, but hopefully we might be able to purchase that, and then we'd move our headquarters probably to the Redruth Library, because that's then near Crescent Kernow, so it'd be really useful.
Oh, that's it.
Crescent Kernow is where all the records office.
So in normal times, do you have to get to the HQ pretty regularly?
No, I'm not, because I'm just the chair. We've got a chief executive who works at
Just chair? Surely that's not right, is it, Lamorna? Surely you have an important role to play.
Well, I don't know. I'm passionate about it, so I have.
Well,
it's really good fun, and
that's lovely. Yeah.
But I just go into the office once a week, and I expect they think, oh God, here she comes.
Here she comes. She's going to point a finger at us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's a tremendous thing to do, really, because it must take up a lot of your time, and because all this is voluntary, isn't it, as far as you're concerned? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it does take a lot of time, actually, if I'm honest, but it's worth it. The staff are very passionate, and the sites we manage and own are absolutely wonderful. If anybody, after this lockdown, I would really recommend going to Luxullian Valley and seeing Trefry Viaduct, especially if you've got a dog. It's a lovely dog walking area. When the bluebells are out there, it is stunning, and there's some fabulous walks.
That sounds like a good thing to do, so that'll be marvellous. Now, I do believe you have a musical ability, don't you, and you put it to good use locally, so would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, before the lockdown, I was playing in the shanty group called Minor Key, and I play fiddle.
Yeah.
I'm actually a classical violinist, but thought, I'll try some folk, and then got dragged into shanties as well. So, and then I also play with a group on the north coast called Fiddle Me Timbers.
Oh, we don't want to talk about the north coast
the
necessarily.
North coast, no.
But no. No. Oh well, that's
There's
marvellous.
A lot of rivalry between shanty groups. Yeah.
I think there is. I think Minor Key are probably one of the best in Cornwall, aren't they? Probably.
Oh, absolutely. I believe you play as well, don't you, John?
Yes, a little bit. I do play alongside you. Yeah. Yeah, so that's but it's good fun, isn't it? Anyway,
It is.
Well, thank you, Lamorna, and we shall keep in touch when we're back with Minor Key, I'm sure.
Lovely.
Bye
Hope everybody stays well.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.